Well, welcome back to the Ropes Family Podcast. We missed a week, and I'll explain a little bit more why in a minute. But at the time of recording this episode, we have a special birthday for Courtney Hill.
Yeah.
Are you going to fiesta today?
Yes,
It's
I'm
your
sure.
birthday? It's your birthday, right?
Yeah, it's my birthday. Junior high pep rally
Oh, yeah. Hey,
celebration.
celebrates your birthday.
Yeah.
We're pepping you up for you.
I guess.
For your, I won't say how old you are. You can say if you want.
Nah, I'm young.
Yeah.
Convinced the kids I was 30 last night. So.
Hey, but you're not 30.
Not 30.
So we can eliminate that. So it's
Older than 30, younger than 40.
okay.
That's it.
So you're in your mid 30s. You could say that.
Yeah, mid.
I'm in my we're both mid. I'm mid 30s.
I'm in the upper side of mid.
Hey, listen, it's all right.
But it's okay.
It's okay. You know, it just depends. Can you use a phone? Then you're probably still young. You're okay.
Sort of. Until I'm like, kids, fix this.
Allison and I are trying to make this word happen. It's called booming. Because when we can't use our phones, I feel like I'm like booming hard.
I like this.
I'm booming here. Or like if I'm walking around trying to take a picture or video and my flash is on, or I left my flashlight on my phone, I'm booming hard.
This is amazing.
And I want it to be a real word, but I doubt it'll. So podcast.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah,
it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen, but it could happen.
It could.
It's funny.
Okay, we're all using that word now. Family challenge. Use the word booming.
Booming. Yeah, we're booming. Not in like we're not growing. We're just old.
Yeah.
We're booming because we can't use our phones. But anyway,
Off topic.
we'll stay on topic. We were trying to decide podcast episodes, and Psalm 23 has kind of stuck out to me for the last maybe 6 months or so. And so I thought we could maybe break it up and talk about it in 3 different episodes, 2 or 3 different episodes, just to kind of cover the whole thing. And I think something that I've learned over this last couple months is Psalm 23 it applies to like a whole life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's good and there's bad, but God still is the same in the whole. And that's what it's teaching you. I think that's one of the main messages is God is the same throughout our whole life. In the valley of the shadow of death, you know, and surely goodness and mercy will follow me. Mm-hmm. You know, and sometimes God has to. We'll get into more of this, but sometimes God has to correct us with a rod and staff. Mm-hmm. They comfort me, and His comfort, His direction comforts us. And we'll get more into those. But today we're going to be talking about verse 1 and 2, right? So I can read verse 1 and 2, unless you want to. Do you want to read it, Courtney?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll read Psalm 23, verse 1 and 2. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters." I'm going to read verse 3 too, just for fun. "He restores my soul, and He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake." So one of the first things that kind of stick out to me in this is the Lord is my shepherd. You know, and at camp we talked about God as a shepherd. And what does a shepherd do? A shepherd cares for the flock, cares for the sheep, right? Mm-hmm. Lays down his life for the flock, right? He provides direction. He provides, you know, He puts them in the right places to sustain themselves, to eat, right? To puts them in the right pastures.
Yeah.
Leads them beside still waters so they can drink, so they can be so they can be filled with all the things they need. Mm-hmm. And something stick out to you with that? What did you?
I kind of had the same thing. I mean, predators like easy prey.
Yeah.
And sheep without a shepherd are easy prey.
Yeah.
Just like we are.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good point. You know, shepherds they watch out for the wolves, right? Mm-hmm. And they you know, guide and protect. You know, we may not always see the wolves, but the shepherd does.
Right.
You know, the sheep don't always see them because if they did, they'd panic, right? Start running. You know. But I think that's a good trait of a shepherd for sure. So one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, or why it's been sticking out, is I've been on a lot of highs and a lot of lows in the last 6 months. Like camp was a high, and we talked about Psalm 23. And while we were at camp, I was preparing for my grandpa's funeral, which I also preached over Psalm 23. And so it was like a whole spectrum of, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But the Lord is still my shepherd. I shall not want, right? He's got everything I need. I can, and, the same thing is I can use Psalm 23 at a youth camp to preach to kids, or God can use Psalm 23 at a youth camp to preach to kids. And then we can use Psalm 23 to minister to my family after a death in the family, right? And that's just one of the really cool things about Psalm 23 is it'll minister to both and all the time. And that's a good showing of God's word, how it can do that at any point, And sometimes it means this, and sometimes it means this, or it means the same, but sometimes we can apply it this way and this way.
It's how we're feeling and how we read things.
Yeah.
How we take it, I guess.
How we understand it and apply the truth.
Apply it to our lives, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
So, and I was looking for verses to support Psalm 23 or 1. And John 10:11 says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep.
Yeah.
So that goes back to
God being
what you
the
said.
shepherd. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump your.
You're good.
Jump your notes, but I think that, and that's one thing that we covered at camp is God takes care of us and shepherds and guides us. The one point I wanted to kind of to make is the Lord being our shepherd, we shall not want. He makes us lie down in green pastures. So sometimes he makes us rest.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's gives us the rest that we need, puts us there, and we just need to take it. We need to be looking for the green pastures that he leads me beside, right? To get to those places so we can rest and be restored. Because in verse 3, he says, he restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And I think that one thing that I was talking to, I'm not sure, I can't remember who I was talking to about it. We're talking about kind of what's been going on the last couple of weeks, and I think one of the goals of Christ, or one of the goals of God, is restoration, to bring us to restore us back to Himself. The goal is restoration, and He does that through all of these measures. Leads us beside still waters to restore us, to bring us back to give us rest, so we can be restored to endure the valley of the shadow of death, which we'll talk about next week or whatever, to endure whatever life throws at us. He gives us those rest. The goal is restoration, or one of the goals is restoration, and does that through love and providing for us and all those good things.
And I think just like sheep, we don't always know, we don't always notice, we don't always see what path we're taking. Like we're so, especially, we have goats, but you'll be trying to get them to go somewhere and they'll freak out and go through a fence. And you're like, if you'd have just walked straight, you wouldn't have hit the fence. But sheep, you can kind of guide and lead. And I think God is always doing that. And I'm sure he looks at me and is like, if you would have just walked straight, you wouldn't have hit that fence, bud. But you won't walk straight.
If you would just, and the thing is another point that they made at camp is the shepherd lays out boundaries for our life.
Yeah.
Right? They keep us in a boundary because the boundaries are safe, and God's word is the boundary that we need to, and we trust in God's sovereignty is the boundary. Those things are designed to keep it, or God put those in place to keep us safe,
right?
To keep us away from the wolves, to keep us. It's not because we have freedom within it, and that's how God works. We have freedom within His boundaries. That's where our freedom is. If we go out of those boundaries, we lose our freedom because we're slaves, and we're slaves to all the things outside of the boundary, right? Because all of those things are designed to take us and hold us and keep us from the shepherd. That's good. That's good.
I like that.
You got anything else on verse? Oh my gosh, my phone. I'm sorry, guys. Whoever's listening.
He's a lot going on right now.
We got my phone's going crazy.
I don't have anything else on verse 1.
Okay.
I think we already said he has a plan for our lives, just like shepherds have a plan for their sheep.
Yeah.
And so, he sets boundaries. He will provide for us. He will take care of us if we stay grounded in him.
Yeah, and I think trusting shepherd.
Yeah.
is a big point. You know, there are a billion things happening in the world today. Like yesterday, today is 9/11. Yesterday in 2025, something really horrific happened, and everybody saw it on the news. And it was like, this moment we need to trust God. You know, this is one of the worst moments we've seen in a long time, publicly or whatever. And those things can pull us two different directions. They can pull us over the fence, or they can help us look to the Father. And that's what we need to do, is look to the shepherd and let him guide us and direct us and protect us from these things. Because, you know, the world is out to devour us, to take us and hold us captive.
I actually talked about that in my class last night, which I have pre-K through second graders. And they wanted to know who the person was, why it happened. And I was like, and I just said, the devil's alive and well, guys. He's looking.
Yeah.
I mean, not just for that, but he's looking to lead us away from God. And I mean, and I got him back off, you know, onto what we were talking about. But I was like, oh.
And kids, that's another thing, is kids they're more aware than we think.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
sometimes I think my kids they're not even paying attention, or they don't know what we're talking about, but they are paying attention.
Oh, they all knew.
They knew. And they talked about 9/11, you know, the other day at school, you know, because they're having to learn about this stuff, which is another thing about, you know, just the evil that exists in this world, you know, and it's not always just an attack on Christ, it's an attack on the world, right? And just the evil that exists, and it's so easy to get caught up in fear of the evil that we lose sight of who's defeated the evil, right? Which is a shepherd who protects us from the evil, you know, and sometimes these moments, like I said, they can pull us away or put us towards, and we just need to remember that the Lord will lead us beside still waters, that he'll restore our soul, that he will take care of us, and we just need to trust him and let him.
Yeah, I said, Jesus already won, guys.
Yeah.
And they just kind of looked at me, and I was like, he really did.
Yeah.
He defeated the grave. He's waiting for us. It's not, we don't have to worry about this. And they're all like, okay.
Yeah, as far as a
right.
6-year-old can understand that. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's all I got. You got anything else? Okay. Do we have a family challenge we can
read through Psalm 23.
Yeah.
Like, I know we know it. I've had it memorized for I don't even know how many years, but rereading it to start studying it for this was a whole different thing, I guess, because I'm old now and I can, you know, actually appreciate what it says. I'm not sure.
Late mid-30s.
Yeah, late mid-30s. But just reread it and read it slowly and take in what it actually is saying.
Yeah, and we'll cover the rest of it over the next couple weeks. Just the first time that I really had to study Psalm 23 was for actually an English class I took last spring. I wrote I had to analyze it literally, as a literature. And that really was the first time I looked at what the words meant and how they could point to this. And that was a really good point. And then, for the funeral, I had to do some studying for it. And it was really cool to see how God used the circumstances in my life to point me to this. It's like, this is what I want you to see. This is how I want you to learn how to trust me is through these moments. And there was a really cool moment. I know we tried to do family challenge, but I'll share a little bit. There was a really cool moment. I was at camp, and before camp, we started planning the funeral for my grandpa, and my family had given the funeral home Psalm 23 to put on the little pamphlet. And I said, well, what if I preached on that? I could do that passage. And they said, yeah, whatever you want to do. So I kind of was like, okay, I'll put that in the brain, kind of let it marinate or whatever. And then I started work. I had a week to do it. He died the day or two before camp, and the funeral was the day after camp. So I had a couple days to do while at camp to work on it. And I started kind of praying about it, reading it, doing all the things. And I'm like, is this the right passage? I was praying. I was like, is this the right passage? This is where you want me to go? And I started kind of jotting down some ideas and some things. And then at camp, there was an incident where during worship, one of the girls, a girl from another church, there's like 1,500 kids here, and we're all standing in the front. A girl had passed out during worship, and it scared a bunch of people. Like everybody, you know how youth camp gets. It's it scared a lot of people. And they had to like stop the service, everybody go back to their seats and sit quietly and pray and do all the things. And then the camp pastor came out and preached over Psalm 23. And it was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
It was like I was like, God, you're ministering to me through this. Thank you. You're answering questions. You're helping me. And it gave me direction to kind of look at during for the funeral sermon, as well as during camp and during because the rest of camp, there was a lot of other things that happened that I needed Psalm 23. Yeah. There was, as camp gets wild. There's good things and bad things, but you just got to remember that the Lord is our shepherd, and He's going to take care of us. And sometimes it takes a rod and a staff to get us to go in the right direction.
Oh yeah.
Also, this is a funny story about rods and staffs, but I can save this for next week. But I'm going to share. Yesterday at church, I was trying to get Easton to go where I was going, and I was kind of like putting my hands on the side of his face, trying to whack him in different directions or whatever. And I can't remember who said it, but they thought it was funny. You're just like kind of whacking him and turning him. I'm like, yeah, they do that for pigs in the pig shows, right? That's how they use a stick. They don't let us use sticks in church right now. So
go this way.
So I use my hands when they're showing pigs. I'm just showing my kids the right way.
That's fine.
That's how I view the rod and the staff. Sometimes we got to do that, but. Anyway, yeah, family challenge I think is to marinate. I like that word, marinate on Psalm 23.
Marinate.
Let it and just see where it applies in your life, because it'll apply in multiple areas, from youth camp to funerals. It'll do all of those things. All right, that's all we got this week. Happy birthday again, Courtney.
Thank you.
If you see Courtney throughout the week, tell her happy birthday. If you already haven't, I'm sure most of you have or will or whatever. But yep, next week we'll talk about a little bit more about Psalm 23. We'll go through a couple more verses, and we'll talk at y'all later. Peace.